Welcome back to Real Estate with Mariah and Spence. Today, we are going to talk about what is that magic number? How much money should you be putting down on a house if you are a first-time buyer? We have like a whole list of just some like facts and statistics we're going to go through, read them out to you guys, chat about them a little bit, and then at the very end, we'll go over. Now, we're not lenders, we're real estate agents, but so there's, things we aren't legally able to talk about. We're not going to give you loan advice, but we will go over just a couple different options as far as like amounts to put down at the very end. But we're just going to chat about it and have a conversation. But first, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Spencer. My name's Spencer Crawford, and we have been doing real estate. Mariah got in the business 8 years ago. I'm jumping into year 4, maybe even year 5 now. But we have been a husband and wife real estate team for the last, I'm going to go with 5 years because I kind of lost count. Yeah, this is going to be year 5, I believe. So Vettrus Crawford Realty, we are the founders of that name, and we are here to bring business to you guys. And we specifically are based here in Oregon to service in person all of those type of real estate needs.
Yeah. And my name's Mariah. Like he said, we're a husband and wife real estate team. I'm on my 8th year of being a full-time real estate agent. I got my real estate license right out of high school. And then a couple years later, like Spencer said, he jumped in and joined me. We've been a top producing husband and wife team ever since. And we come on here every single week and just have a little conversation about real estate. It's super laid back and chill. And if you're new or if you're not, we'd love for you to join us here every week. So subscribe and hit the bell.
I've found that talking to people about money is always hard. It's not like something that people are comfortable doing. And I think this could be something new, though, that people need to relearn because it was never taught to me in school. It was never a checkbook balance class. There was never a class that just said, this is what you should do for your taxes if this is your category or career. I mean, because there are completely opposite ways of doing business versus another guy. Everybody has their own mindset as to how money is created, money is produced. And a big portion of that is how much money down should I put on a home? Because ultimately, it can be hard to become a homeowner at times. Do you agree?
It can be confusing especially if you don't know. Or it can be hard if you don't have money. If you're under the impression.
That's what I mean. The checks and balances.
Always been told you gotta wait till you can put 20% down. If you've always been told that is the best way to go, and maybe it is, we'll get into that, but it could be discouraging.
Absolutely.
As well.
And I've met, people, I've met like 50-year-olds that they have a can and they stuff money in it, cash. And they think that's how they're going to be buying a house. And remind you, these are like 50-year-olds. So they've lived a time of life more than me. And I don't know how to process that sometimes. So are we an educator? Are we a teacher for you guys on today's show? Maybe. Because we have gone through home sales, multiple, and I would say hundreds at this point. We've had hundreds of transactions. Yes, definitely, since Mariah has been in real estate.
For sure.
So we've been in situations. Now, not every situation is the same, but that's what's nice about real estate is the problem-solving side to us helping you. That is the value that we are able to create for you guys as representatives of you guys being our client. How can we get the job done? But ultimately, how do we start the process, Mariah? The saving maybe, or the amount down, or where should I go in order to know how much money to put down?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is have some clarity. It's hard to start the process even of, obviously you can just start saving money, open up a separate account. And I'm not going to look at it. It doesn't exist. Putting money into it every month for my down payment. That's very wise to do. However, I think it's really important, especially when you're setting goals. Anytime you're setting goals, it's like with money, savings, anything, you need to have a specific number. And you can't really know that without talking to a lender first. So whether you're, 6 months out, ready to go right now, a month out, a year out, 2 years out plus, I think it's a very good idea to just have a conversation with a lender. You can even have a conversation with us. Reach out. We'd love to set up a Zoom call with you if you're thinking about buying a house. We can get you on the calendar and set up a call to just get your questions answered and point you in the right direction, and then set you up with a really great lender who will be a great fit for you, who will be able to then give you clarity as to, okay, I now have an idea. Maybe I'm not ready to get pre-qualified, but now I at least have an idea of roughly how much I'll need saved for, if I'm going to buy a $500,000 house, what my monthly payment would look like here, different loan options. If I'm going to buy a $400,000 house, whatever that number is, you're going to just have a little bit more clarity. And I think that's the number one thing. You got to do it.
You know what I think holds people back based off conversations I have with even talking to a lender or getting pre-approved, Mariah? It's the credit check. People think because your credit might be ran, which by the way, if you're in a pre-approval process, not always does your credit score have to be run or you give a social security number. If
that's a concern of yours, just tell your lender and they'll know what to do to not,
because I've run into that situation, and that's why people, they don't want to price shop or check around. Right. And the reality is you're a fool if you don't want to get pre-approved because you're worried about a 3-point drop in your credit score. Because ultimately it's not going to be affecting your credit score. And I hear that time and time again. My personal lender says that to me. He says, because that question's asked during that first consultation. Well, I don't want to give you all my information because I might be checking with 3-4 other lenders. And if I do the same thing all in a week, my credit score, it's going to go down by 100 points. What do I do? And my lender says, it's not going to affect you in the way you think it's going to. Yeah. It's simply not. Now, if we can roll off of estimates, which if you're an honest person and you actually know your numbers, some lenders are willing to work with that. And what I mean by that is estimate how much your annual income is, estimate what is your credit score, estimate how much your monthly income is, estimate how much your debt is every month, meaning how much are you paying out on other debts. Because ultimately that is what's going to pre-approve you for the right price bracket. But where people mess up is they don't want to give out their real information, usually their taxes, social security number, or credit score. And that's putting us in a really bad place. But ultimately, it's putting you in a really bad place. If you are a serious home buyer, then you should be willing to give up something. There is a sacrifice to the process. And I believe that really is the biggest sacrifice, is sitting down and talking to the lender.
Yeah, and if you're not willing to take that step, then you're probably not serious about buying a house. It's just something in the back of your head. You're like, oh, it sounds nice, but I don't really
Now, if you're
care.
a cash buyer, it is what it is. Let's get your home sold, or you put money in the bank. Let's go buy something.
Of course. Okay, so let's go through some of these little facts or just statistics, whatever. Okay, so first off, we just want to start out by saying putting 20% down to avoid PMI, private mortgage insurance, it can be a smart move if you can easily afford to do so. But the idea that you should always put 20% down on a house is such a myth. Okay, guys, the average buyer puts just 13% down on a house. That figure drops to 8% for buyers below the age of 30. I didn't know that. And some mortgage loan programs allow as little as 3% or even 0 down. I'm working with a client right now who they are first-time home buyers, and they're super excited to just, they're the kind of buyers that I love working with because they're not picky, and they're so excited about home ownership, and their thinking very much aligns with how I think about home ownership. They're thinking like, you know what? We might not be able to get much. We might have to be in a older condo, but we see the value of just buying that and owning it over continuing to rent. And I just love that because you might be like, well, duh, isn't that obvious? But you'd be surprised. As real estate agents, we've seen a lot of buyers that are waiting to buy until, they could buy something more affordable, but they're waiting to buy until they can buy that house that's more long-term for them. But I think that's often a really bad idea because you're not able to gain equity. You're wasting so much time. You could be gaining equity and sheltering income, and there's so much beauty in homeownership. So what was all my point in saying this? Okay, anyway, the loan.
The average
Right.
first-time home buyer especially.
I got right. I went off
payments.
I went off on a little tangent about my clients. I just really like them. I'm so proud of them. But anyway, I was but my whole point in saying all of this is they're using a program where it's a newer program and only a smaller amount of lenders even have it. One of the lenders we're connected with, we can send you their information, does have this program where you can put $0 down. It's not a USDA loan. And so if you're not familiar, USDA loan basically means you have to buy outside of city limits, has to be a rural property. But this loan you can buy, if you meet the qualifications, of course, you can buy with $0 down in Salem,
anywhere?
In a city.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can be in city limits. So there are there's cool. limits, there's things you got to qualify for, but I just think that's super awesome. Like there's options is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, here's the problem though. Between the rock and the hard spot is
what?
With zero down programs, and that if that's the category you are,
yeah.
Realize $0 down. Okay, $0 down. That means your end term loan is going to be a lot higher. So the loan you're borrowing, the money you borrowed, it's a higher figure. So your monthly payment could end up being a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people are understanding that,
right.
The reason I say we're in a rock and a hard spot there is because sales prices are up. Yeah. Sales prices are just high. And on top of that, interest is high. So when you're dealing with average mortgage rates being $3,200 at times, you're like, what the heck do I do here? And that's on top of putting some money down on the home, sometimes 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that's not even closing costs, which is another 15, 18 grand. So it puts people in this like...
Well, depending on the price range.
Yeah,
yes.
depending on the price range.
It's not always that much, but yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is people don't necessarily know the exact amount to do when you're putting money down.
Yeah.
Do you do 20%? Do you do 5%? Do you do a $0 down loan program? It doesn't matter. It's only because it only matters if it works for you.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Right.
I mean, I'm just on the phone call with a out-of-state client, VA home loan. As we know, VA can be a $0 down program.
Yeah.
But they understand that they want to keep their monthly mortgage in a certain bracket. They want to pay, X to Y. And that's okay. But they understand that they're going to have to put money down in order for their mortgage to be that number. Right. Okay? And that's what's tripping people up is when we're a first-time home buyer or you're coming out of a sticky situation, you just don't have much cash, but you understand the priority and the concern of not being a homeowner right now. And you just need a home and start investing in equity. Well, if you're putting $0 down, then your monthly mortgage is going to be higher. Well, will you be pre-approved with that high mortgage?
Yeah, I just think there's a lot of factors involved. And I think what Spencer's trying to say is it's a very personal decision. No one can say this is the right, because the right amount to put down is going to differ from house to house, situation to situation, all of the things. So let's read through a few more of these facts and then we can just chat a little bit more about that. So, okay. Here's an important thing to know. If 20% down would leave you house poor, paying less absolutely is probably the right move, I would say. I'll repeat that. If 20% down, if putting that much down would leave you house poor, it's probably a good idea to pay less. If you can easily afford it, you should. It's not a bad idea. I don't want to say you should, but it's probably a good idea to put 20% down. You'll avoid paying for private mortgage insurance and you'll have a lower loan amount and smaller monthly payments like Spencer was talking about to worry about. You could save a lot of money in the long run. Therefore, the amount of money you should put down on a house is so personal. It could be 20, 10, 3%, $0 down. Explore all your options and find the right down payment amount for you. So maybe before we end, let's just chat a little bit.
Well, I got some bullet points I can say on every one of those things you just hit.
Okay.
I mean, for instance.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay, here is a very logical reasoning as to why I would put 5% down, 10% down, not 20%.
Why?
And that's if I had the money. Okay? I don't want to stretch myself too thin. That point you just made. Maybe you have the 20%, but that's all you got. And then month by month, it's going to be tough to recoup that.
Right.
Well, you might be better off putting that 5% down, keeping all that money in the bank. Maybe the house needs some work, put some money into the house. Maybe it's not your forever home. Let's live in it for 2 years. Let's make $100,000. Wow. That is easier and better, I believe, than playing with the stock market.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, real estate in a sense is a stock market, but ultimately
it's the safest investment.
Exactly. You have one of the best appreciating assets known to man historically, real estate, investment, soil, dirt. And so if you're putting a less amount down, you're not feeling the pressures of life. You're able to afford that mortgage. You're able to open a savings account, by the way, and put a year's worth of mortgages in that account. That's pretty fun to me. On top of that, you have funds to do some work to your home. Make it a little bit more beautiful than when you bought it. So when you do resell 2, 3, 4 years down the road, average home sale is every 5 years, I'd say. Well, you got quite a bit of equity and you never stretched yourself so thin. You get a divorce, your kids are unhappy, you feel like you have to work more, also known as the pressures of life.
That's
and
really
I get
good
that.
Advice.
I really get that.
Really
being a man and being ahead. I mean, I got girls to support. I got a family, household, whatever you want to be. If you're a single man, cool. There's pressures that's on you. And if you can look maybe a little bit more further down the road, I mean, do it. Don't look at what's just in front of you. Look at months, years down the road. Okay, at your finances. Because ultimately, yes, home ownership is a great thing. I love it. It's not for everybody at certain times in their life. And I can guarantee that one. Okay. You might not agree with me on that, which is totally fine.
I'm a little extreme.
I'm a realist. Okay. I'm logical about it.
I'm an extremist.
But that is one of the big differences. I mean, on our last condo we bought, I had the money to put down. Did I put down all of it? No. On this home purchase, I did 20% because it was your second scenario where, hey, if you're in a financial situation, you get rid of principal, mortgage, insurance, you do it.
You can. So here's what I think. Yes, all of that is like such good advice. I think everybody needs to hear. I think that if you're buying a house, say you're buying a house like, this one that we purchased and ended up doing a ton of work to it. If you're buying something to do a remodel on, I would say obviously the most ideal situation would be put 20% down and have money saved to do the remodel. But not everyone's going to be in that situation.
Exactly.
If you're not able to do that, then what I would say the best option is put the lower amount down and have money aside. Because anytime you're doing a remodel, we've ran into it before. You calculate a certain amount and it's so much more. There's always things that you can do.
I could show you guys a spreadsheet.
It's insane.
Of my estimated costs.
And we were being pretty generous.
Versus reality invoice costs.
Yeah.
On top of doing some labor yourself, hiring out, finding buddies that are in that field. But
there's always more.
There's more costs.
Things, especially when you're buying an older house, things always come up. This needs to be fixed. And then this, there's always going to be things. So I think it's a good idea if you're buying a property that you're planning to remodel, maybe put the lower amount down as long as you can afford that payment and save some extra money for a cushy cush to do the thing as you want to do to that house, because it's probably going to cost more than what you're thinking.
So to recap, though.
Yeah, let's
as to recap. The actual title of today's show.
How much should you put down?
How much should you put down?
Yeah.
Well, what's your monthly mortgage you want to keep your home at? Let's ask yourself that. Okay, now let's go talk to the lender and say, how much do I need to put down on this average real estate sales price market to keep my mortgage at this rate? That's your pre-approval process. That's going to be how much you need to put down on your home. If it's 0, that works for you. If it's 20, if it's 50%, if it's 5% conventional loan, 3.5% FHA loan, it's up to you. And I would go monthly by monthly because we are in an uncertain market when it comes economically. Now, if you got a great job title and secure whatever, you know your figures. You know your month by months, okay? So that is where I'm saying the majority of us are going to be in that category. We're going to know our month to months. We're not the risker, the entrepreneurs that's going to lose or gain it all. You know what I mean? We are set in these boxes in a sense. We know our brackets. That's what I can afford monthly. What do I got to put down to get there? And that's what I recommend we start at, is with that lender. Go to your lender. Go get pre-approved. If you do not have a lender, message us. Our link is below, and we will send you one. Whether you're FHA, conventional, VA. I got a specific VA home loan lender that we'd love to use.
Yeah. Someone that specializes in that. Because I know people have a VA loan a lot of times want a specialist, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where I would start, because there is no right answer. Okay. And Mariah, do you got anything to add to that?
Yeah. Okay. So to end, I just will say my real estate tip of the week. Remember when we do those every week?
Oh, yeah.
End of our show. So here's my tip of the week. You have options. Explore them.
Yes.
Explore your options before you buy. Don't just go off of someone told me I have to have 20% or it's a bad investment. Don't explore your options, and then you got to go with your gut and do what is best for you and your personal circumstance. That's my first tip. My second tip.
I love that. Go with your gut.
Yes. My second tip is, if you're watching this, because I know we have people viewing in different parts of the country on this particular channel. This channel is real estate advice. It's not Oregon specific. We do have another channel that is Oregon specific. Go check it out. There's a link on this channel if you want as well. But all of that being said, we do have people though watching on this channel as well who are thinking about moving to our area. So if that's you, if you're thinking about relocating to Oregon, we work with lots of relocation clients and we love it. Let's set up a Zoom call. I'd love to chat with you and see how we can help. And if you're watching this and you are not moving to Oregon, you're buying or selling real estate anywhere else in the world, we would love to set you up with a solid realtor with our brokerage. We're with Real Broker. And we have connections to the best agents. We can find someone specific for you and your needs wherever you're located. You really don't want to just trust the first agent that you see online. You could waste time and money. So let us help you there as well. Feel free to reach out with any questions, concerns, comments. Comment below or just our links below. Email us anytime. So that's all. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.